Mastering Critical Thinking, Unlock Your Mind's Potential. Introduction. Why critical thinking matters. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. We are bombarded with information from all directions: social media, news outlets, work demands, and personal interactions. It's easy to let the noise cloud our judgment and influence our decisions. Have you ever found yourself making choices based on impulse, emotion, or the opinions of others, only to regret them later? Have you struggled to solve a problem, only to find that your usual strategies don't work anymore? You're not alone. These struggles are a product of a common, yet often overlooked, issue: the lack of critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly, rationally, and independently. It's a skill that enables us to analyze information, evaluate arguments, and make decisions that are based on evidence, reason, and logic, rather than assumptions or emotions. It allows us to understand and dissect our thoughts, recognize cognitive biases, challenge assumptions, and make decisions that align with our goals and values. Critical thinking doesn't just affect our professional lives, it has a profound impact on our personal growth, relationships, and overall well-being. This book, Mastering Critical Thinking, Unlock Your Mind's Potential, is designed to guide you through the process of understanding and developing your critical thinking skills. You'll learn to recognize how your mind works, identify thought patterns that hold you back, and master techniques that will help you make clearer decisions, solve complex problems, and ultimately live a more intentional life. But more than that, you'll discover how the power of critical thinking can unlock your true potential, both personally and professionally. The importance of critical thinking. We live in an age where information is not just abundant, it's overwhelming. Each day, we face choices that can have significant consequences on our lives. From career decisions to personal relationships, our decisions shape our future. Yet, many of us make choices without fully considering their implications, relying instead on gut reactions or societal expectations. The ability to think critically helps us move beyond these instinctive or surface-level responses, allowing us to evaluate situations with more clarity and depth. Critical thinking allows us to navigate complexity. The world is filled with gray areas, not black and white answers. Problems are rarely simple, and decisions often involve trade-offs. Without the skill of critical thinking, we can fall prey to oversimplification, making choices that seem easy in the moment but lead to negative long-term outcomes. When we approach life with a critical mindset, we're able to see all sides of a situation, evaluate evidence objectively, and make more informed, rational decisions. But critical thinking doesn't just help us make better decisions, it also enhances our personal growth. By learning to challenge our own assumptions and beliefs, we open the door to new perspectives and deeper self-awareness. Critical thinking enables us to question the status quo and to think creatively about how to solve problems, both in our personal lives and in our careers. It encourages us to reflect on our experiences, learn from our mistakes, and continuously strive to improve. Most importantly, mastering critical thinking is essential for living a purposeful life. When we think critically, we take control of our thoughts and actions. We stop reacting mindlessly to external pressures and instead start making choices that align with our true values and goals. This sense of agency brings a deep sense of fulfillment and clarity, transforming the way we experience the world and ourselves. The cost of not developing critical thinking skills. It's easy to assume that critical thinking is a skill that only certain people need, those in high-stakes careers, like doctors, lawyers, or scientists. However, the reality is that critical thinking is a skill that everyone can benefit from, regardless of profession or lifestyle. When we fail to develop critical thinking skills, we make decisions based on biases, assumptions, and limited information. This often leads to poor outcomes, whether it's in the form of a career that doesn't fulfill us, a relationship that falters, or financial decisions that leave us in debt. Consider this: without critical thinking, you might unknowingly fall victim to cognitive biases that distort your judgment. You might ignore important facts because they don't align with your pre-existing beliefs, confirmation bias, or you might make decisions based on the first piece of information you encounter, without considering alternatives, anchoring bias. You might even cling to outdated assumptions that limit your growth, preventing you from seeing opportunities that could lead to new and better outcomes. The lack of critical thinking also impacts our relationships. Misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional reactions often arise when we fail to think critically about our interactions with others. We may misinterpret others' intentions, make assumptions without fully understanding the context, or let emotions drive our decisions, all of which lead to unnecessary tension and hurt feelings. With critical thinking, we can approach conversations with greater empathy, understanding, and clarity, improving communication and fostering stronger connections. Additionally, a lack of critical thinking limits our problem-solving ability. When we don't take the time to evaluate a situation from multiple angles, we may miss out on innovative solutions. We might find ourselves stuck in the same patterns of thinking, unable to break free from old habits or limiting beliefs. By mastering critical thinking, we not only find better solutions to problems, but also gain the ability to create new opportunities for growth and success. Unlocking your potential through critical thinking. So, how can you unlock your mind's full potential? How can you go beyond the surface-level thinking that often defines our daily lives and tap into a deeper, more insightful way of engaging with the world? The answer lies in developing and mastering the skills of critical thinking. In the chapters that follow, we will explore practical strategies and exercises that will help you improve your thinking and decision-making. You will learn how to recognize the cognitive biases that cloud your judgment, how to challenge assumptions that limit your worldview, and how to develop a reflective practice that allows you to learn and grow continuously. Through real-world examples and actionable steps, you will gain the tools you need to think more clearly, make better decisions, and ultimately live a more empowered and fulfilling life. This journey will not always be easy, but it will be worth it. As you learn to think critically, you will find that your ability to solve problems, make decisions, and navigate challenges improves dramatically. You'll become more self-aware, more confident, and more capable of achieving your goals. Your relationships will improve as you become a better listener and communicator, and perhaps most importantly, you'll discover a greater sense of purpose and direction in your life. Critical thinking is not just a skill, it's a way of life. It's a mindset that transforms how we approach the world and ourselves. By the end of this book, you'll be equipped with the tools and techniques to master your own thought patterns, unlock your full potential, and live with greater insight, clarity, and purpose. Are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Let's begin the process of mastering critical thinking and unlocking the full potential of your mind. The path to a more thoughtful, intentional, and successful life starts here. Chapter 1. The importance of critical thinking in modern life. We live in an era of constant change and complexity. Technology advances at an incredible pace, information is available at the touch of a button, and the interconnectedness of global networks means that events in one part of the world can have immediate effects elsewhere. Amidst this complexity, the ability to think critically allows us to understand and make sense of the world around us. Critical thinking helps us to sift through conflicting information, spot logical flaws, and assess the validity of arguments or claims. It is, in essence, the ability to think about thinking, to examine how our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions shape the decisions we make. Without critical thinking, we are vulnerable to manipulation, misinformation, and poor decision-making. In a world where everyone has an opinion and information is often incomplete or biased, critical thinking is our safeguard against being misled. It helps us ask the right questions, assess evidence, and make decisions that align with our best interests and values, rather than being swayed by emotion, assumptions, or the opinions of others. The ability to think critically is not just about making smarter decisions, it's about creating a life that is reflective, intentional, and aligned with one's true goals and values. Whether you are deciding on a career path, navigating relationships, or setting personal objectives, critical thinking helps you evaluate all the options, consider long-term consequences, and take proactive steps toward achieving what matters most to you. How mastering thought patterns leads to personal and professional success. At the heart of critical thinking lies an understanding of your thought patterns. Thought patterns are the automatic ways in which our minds process information and interpret experiences. These patterns are shaped by a variety of factors, including our upbringing, cultural influences, education, and personal experiences. They often operate subconsciously, influencing our behaviors and decisions without us even realizing it. Mastering your thought patterns is one of the most powerful ways to improve your critical thinking abilities. By becoming aware of your habitual thought patterns, you can identify where your thinking might be clouded by cognitive biases or limiting beliefs. You can learn to break free from automatic reactions and approach situations with greater clarity and objectivity. This process of self-awareness and self-regulation is key to personal growth and professional success. In the workplace, for instance, critical thinking is a vital skill for problem-solving, decision-making, and leadership. Employers value individuals who can analyze situations, weigh options, and arrive at well-reasoned conclusions. In professional settings, your ability to think critically can set you apart, helping you to identify opportunities, make informed choices, and avoid costly mistakes. It's not just about solving problems, but also about recognizing problems before they arise, anticipating challenges, and thinking creatively about potential solutions. The same applies to personal life. In relationships, critical thinking allows you to communicate more effectively, resolve conflicts, and understand the perspectives of others. In setting personal goals, critical thinking helps you evaluate your strengths, weaknesses, and priorities, ensuring that your efforts align with your core values and long-term vision. When you master your thought patterns, you gain greater control over your actions, decisions, and outcomes, leading to a more fulfilled and purposeful life. The potential costs of not developing critical thinking skills. In contrast, failing to develop critical thinking skills can have far-reaching consequences. Without the ability to evaluate information critically, we may fall victim to cognitive biases that distort our judgment. For instance, confirmation bias can lead us to seek out information that supports our pre-existing beliefs, while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. This selective thinking limits our ability to make objective decisions and impedes personal growth. In the workplace, individuals who lack critical thinking skills may struggle with problem-solving, decision-making, and adapting to change. They may make snap decisions without considering the long-term consequences, which can lead to costly mistakes. At its worst, a lack of critical thinking can hinder professional advancement, as employers seek out employees who can demonstrate sound judgment and the ability to think strategically. On a personal level, not developing critical thinking skills can lead to a life of reactive decisions, where we follow the paths laid out for us by others instead of carving our own. Without questioning assumptions and evaluating options, we may find ourselves stuck in unhealthy relationships, unfulfilling careers, or repetitive patterns of behavior. The result is a life that feels disconnected, uninspired, or out of alignment with our true desires. Moreover, in a world that is increasingly complex, the consequences of not thinking critically can be more severe. From navigating political or social issues to making financial decisions or choosing a healthcare provider, the decisions we make today have significant consequences. The inability to assess situations clearly can leave us vulnerable to bad decisions, misinformation, and unnecessary struggles. Critical thinking is the tool that allows us to see through complexity and make choices that are in our best interest. A life transformed by critical thinking. The good news is that critical thinking is a skill that can be developed and refined with practice. It's not an innate talent that only certain people are born with, rather, it is a way of approaching life and thinking that can be cultivated through intentional effort. The more we practice critical thinking, the sharper and more effective our decisions become. This book is designed to guide you through that process. It will help you understand how your thought patterns shape your perceptions and decisions, provide tools for recognizing and challenging cognitive biases, and offer strategies for becoming a more reflective and purposeful thinker. By the end of this book, you will have a set of powerful tools at your disposal to improve your decision-making, problem-solving, and overall effectiveness in all areas of life. You'll learn how to ask the right questions, challenge assumptions, evaluate evidence, and approach problems from multiple angles. You'll develop a deeper awareness of your own mental processes, leading to greater self-understanding and emotional intelligence. You'll also discover how critical thinking can improve your relationships, your professional life, and your ability to achieve your personal goals. The journey to mastering critical thinking is not a quick fix or a magic solution. It's a lifelong practice that requires effort, commitment, and self-discipline, but the rewards are worth it, a life of greater clarity, confidence, and fulfillment. In the next chapters, we'll explore the key components of critical thinking in detail, from understanding how your mind works to recognizing the biases that influence your decisions. We'll dive into practical exercises that will help you challenge your thinking and develop the skills needed to make better decisions and live a more intentional life. Are you ready to begin this journey? The power to think critically and to unlock the full potential of your mind lies within your grasp. Let's get started. Chapter 2. Understanding Thought Patterns, the Foundation of Critical Thinking. Critical thinking does not begin with complex problems or high-level decision-making. It begins with something much more fundamental, understanding how you think. Every thought you have, every belief you hold, and every action you take is influenced by deeply ingrained mental patterns. These thought patterns are the subconscious frameworks through which we process information, interpret events, and navigate the world. They form the very foundation of our cognitive processes, shaping not only how we think but also how we behave and how we make decisions. In this chapter, we will explore the essential concept of thought patterns and their influence on critical thinking. By recognizing and understanding these patterns, you gain the tools to examine and modify your thinking, leading to better decision-making, more insightful judgments, and a greater capacity for growth and self-improvement. What are thought patterns, and how do they shape your life? Thought patterns, at their core, are the habitual ways our minds organize and interpret information. They are mental pathways that have been established through repeated experiences, beliefs, and perceptions. Over time, these pathways become automatic, guiding our reactions, decisions, and behaviors without us consciously being aware of them. Think of your thought patterns as filters through which all incoming information passes. How you perceive a situation, how you interpret it, and how you decide to respond is all influenced by these pre-existing patterns. For instance, if you have a pattern of viewing challenges as insurmountable obstacles, you might shy away from taking risks or confronting problems directly. Alternatively, if you approach challenges with the belief that they are opportunities for growth, you may tackle them head-on with a positive mindset. Our thought patterns are shaped by a variety of factors, including upbringing and environment. The values, beliefs, and norms you were exposed to during childhood influence how you view the world. If you grew up in a household where critical thinking was valued, you are more likely to approach problems logically. Conversely, if your environment emphasized emotional reactions or automatic beliefs, you might be more susceptible to biased or impulsive thinking. Cultural influences. The culture you live in plays a huge role in shaping your thought patterns. Societal norms, traditions, and collective values can either encourage or limit the way you think. For example, in some cultures, questioning authority may be seen as disrespectful, while in others, it is encouraged as a form of critical inquiry. Personal experiences and emotions. Every experience you've had in life, both positive and negative, leaves a mental imprint. Over time, you may form certain beliefs or biases about people, situations, or yourself based on these experiences. If you've faced failure or rejection, you might develop a pattern of avoiding risk or doubting your abilities. If you've experienced success, you may have a pattern of confidence and optimism. Cognitive structures. Our brains naturally develop schemas or mental models, frameworks that help us make sense of the world. These mental models are constructed from past experiences and allow us to process information quickly. However, when these models are rigid or simplistic, they can restrict our ability to think critically and adapt to new situations. Understanding the role of these thought patterns is crucial, because it enables you to recognize that the way you think is not always objective or rational. Your thoughts are shaped by underlying assumptions and experiences, and by becoming aware of these patterns, you can begin to adjust them for better outcomes. The connection between thoughts, beliefs, and actions. One of the most profound realizations in developing critical thinking is understanding the intricate connection between thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Our thoughts do not exist in isolation, they directly influence the beliefs we hold about ourselves, others, and the world. These beliefs, in turn, drive the actions we take. For example, imagine you are faced with an opportunity to apply for a promotion at work. If your thought pattern revolves around self-doubt or imposter syndrome, a common thought pattern where you feel undeserving of success, your beliefs may lean toward thinking, "I'm not qualified," or "I won't get it." These beliefs will likely prevent you from taking the necessary steps to apply or prepare for the promotion. As a result, your actions, or lack thereof, reinforce the pattern of self-doubt. On the other hand, if your thought pattern is rooted in self-confidence and a belief that you are capable of learning and growing, your thoughts may be, "I have the skills and experience to succeed," or "even if I don't get it, I will learn something valuable." These beliefs encourage actions that align with growth, such as applying for the promotion, preparing thoroughly, and taking steps toward advancement. Thus, thought patterns, beliefs, and actions form a feedback loop. Your beliefs shape how you act, and your actions either reinforce or challenge those beliefs. By becoming aware of your thought patterns, you can change the beliefs that limit your potential and replace them with beliefs that empower you to take decisive, positive actions. How unconscious biases impact your decision-making. While thought patterns are deeply embedded in our cognitive processes, many of them are unconscious. This means that much of our decision-making is influenced by biases that we are not even aware of. Unconscious biases can distort our judgment, leading to suboptimal or irrational decisions. These biases are mental shortcuts our brains use to quickly process information, but they can often lead to inaccurate or unfair conclusions. Some common unconscious biases that affect decision-making include confirmation bias. This is the tendency to seek out information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs while ignoring information that contradicts them. For example, if you believe that a certain political party is always correct, you may only read news sources that support that viewpoint and dismiss those that offer opposing perspectives. Confirmation bias can prevent you from considering alternative viewpoints and making well-rounded decisions. Anchoring bias. This occurs when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter, the anchor, when making decisions. For instance, if you're buying a car and the first price you see is $30,000, you may judge all other prices in relation to that figure, even if they are not reasonable. Overconfidence bias. People with this bias tend to overestimate their abilities or knowledge. They may make decisions based on incomplete information, assuming they are more capable or knowledgeable than they actually are. This bias can lead to risky or flawed choices, especially in complex situations. Availability heuristic. This bias occurs when we judge the probability of an event based on how easily examples come to mind. If we've recently heard about a plane crash, we may irrationally assume that flying is more dangerous, even though statistically, it is one of the safest modes of travel. Groupthink. This is the tendency to conform to the opinions of a group rather than critically evaluating alternatives. Groupthink can stifle creativity and lead to poor decision-making, particularly in group settings where dissent is discouraged. Unconscious biases are pervasive and often invisible to us, making them especially dangerous when it comes to critical thinking. They influence our decisions in ways that seem logical or intuitive, but are actually based on flawed thinking. One of the first steps in mastering critical thinking is becoming aware of these biases and learning to challenge them. Recognizing and overcoming biases. Practical strategies. To overcome the negative influence of unconscious biases, you must first become aware of them. Here are some practical strategies for identifying and addressing biases in your thinking. Pause and reflect. Before making a decision, take a moment to reflect on your thoughts. Ask yourself whether your decision is being influenced by any biases. For example, are you seeking information that confirms what you already believe, or are you truly considering all the facts? Seek diverse perspectives. To counter confirmation bias, actively seek out information and viewpoints that challenge your beliefs. Engage in conversations with people who have different perspectives, and read diverse sources of information. This will help you broaden your thinking and avoid falling into echo chambers. Consider the opposite. In situations where you are uncertain, intentionally consider the opposite of what you believe or plan to do. For instance, if you are confident that a particular decision is the right one, take a moment to consider why it might be wrong or what flaws exist in your reasoning. Slow down. Many biases thrive in situations where decisions are made quickly or impulsively. When faced with important choices, slow down the decision-making process. Take time to gather information, reflect on your options, and consider the long-term consequences. Use decision-making frameworks. There are structured approaches to decision-making that can help mitigate biases. Techniques like cost-benefit analysis, decision matrices, and pros and cons lists can help you objectively evaluate your options. The path forward: developing a reflective mindset. In order to improve your critical thinking, it's essential to adopt a reflective mindset. This means regularly taking time to reflect on your thoughts, beliefs, and decision-making processes. By doing so, you can identify patterns, recognize biases, and consciously change the way you think. Chapter 3. Cognitive biases, the hidden forces that shape your mind. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that our brains use to simplify information processing. These shortcuts are the result of our brains' need to quickly evaluate situations, make decisions, and form judgments without having to engage in complex or conscious reasoning every time. While cognitive biases help us navigate life quickly and efficiently, they can often lead us astray. When unchecked, these biases distort our perception of reality, skew our judgments, and hinder our ability to think critically. In this chapter, we'll dive deep into the various cognitive biases that shape how we think, perceive the world, and make decisions. We'll explore how these biases work, how they can impact our lives, and, most importantly, how we can become aware of them and challenge them to improve our critical thinking skills. What are cognitive biases? Cognitive biases are systematic patterns of deviation from rationality, where our judgments and decisions are influenced by subjective factors like emotions, experiences, and pre-existing beliefs. These biases affect all aspects of life, from the simple act of choosing what to eat for lunch to complex decisions like selecting a career or forming opinions about social or political issues. In essence, cognitive biases arise because of the way our brains have evolved to process large volumes of information. Our brains are wired to make fast decisions, but this often comes at the cost of accuracy. These biases can be seen as mental shortcuts or heuristics that provide quick answers based on past experiences or limited data. However, while heuristics can be useful in certain contexts, such as quickly recognizing faces or reacting to immediate threats, they can also lead to faulty reasoning when applied to more complex or nuanced situations. This is where critical thinking becomes essential. By recognizing and understanding our biases, we can pause to question our assumptions, evaluate evidence more rigorously, and make more informed, rational decisions. Common cognitive biases and their impact. There are dozens of well-documented cognitive biases, each influencing our thinking in different ways. Let's explore some of the most common ones, how they manifest in our thinking, and their potential impact. 1. Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is one of the most pervasive cognitive biases. It occurs when we favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or opinions, while dismissing or undervaluing information that contradicts them. This bias can cause people to become trapped in echo chambers where their views are constantly reinforced, making it harder to see alternative perspectives. For example, if someone believes in a particular political ideology, they may seek out news sources or social media accounts that align with that ideology and ignore sources that present opposing viewpoints. Confirmation bias not only skews our perception of reality, but it can also deepen political divisions, impede objective analysis, and prevent us from learning new information. Impact. Confirmation bias can limit our intellectual growth, reinforce stereotypes, and create polarized thinking, especially when it comes to social, political, or controversial topics. 2. Anchoring bias. Anchoring bias occurs when we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive, the anchor, when making decisions. This initial information serves as a reference point, and all subsequent judgments are made in relation to it, even if that anchor is arbitrary or irrelevant. For instance, if you're shopping for a car and the first price you see is $40,000, that price serves as an anchor in your mind. Even if you later find a car that costs $35,000, you might perceive it as a good deal, even though it could still be overpriced compared to the market value. Impact. Anchoring bias can lead to poor decision-making, especially in financial or negotiating situations, where the initial information sets an unreasonably high or low reference point. 3. Availability heuristic. The availability heuristic is a bias in which we judge the likelihood of an event based on how easily examples or instances come to mind. If something is readily available in our memory, whether because it was recent, emotionally charged, or vivid, we are more likely to overestimate the probability of that event occurring. For example, if you've recently seen a news report about a plane crash, you might perceive flying as more dangerous than it actually is. Your brain places more weight on the dramatic and easily recalled event, even though the actual risk is statistically low. Impact. The availability heuristic can lead to disproportionate fears or misjudgments about risk, often causing us to overestimate rare events while underestimating common, everyday risks. 4. Overconfidence bias. Overconfidence bias is the tendency to overestimate one's abilities, knowledge, or predictions. People often believe they are better at tasks, more knowledgeable, or more capable of making correct decisions than they actually are. For example, a person may overestimate their ability to predict the stock market's movements, believing they have an exceptional understanding of the market, even when they lack expertise or experience. This bias can also lead people to take on tasks or risks that they are not properly prepared for, leading to failure. Impact. Overconfidence bias can lead to poor decision-making, excessive risk-taking, and a lack of preparation or self-awareness, often with negative consequences. 5. Status quo bias. The status quo bias refers to our preference for things to remain the same, even when change might be beneficial. People tend to favor familiar routines, processes, and systems, even when alternatives could lead to better outcomes. This bias is rooted in the discomfort of uncertainty and the fear of the unknown. For example, an employee might resist a new software system at work, even if it's objectively more efficient, simply because they are comfortable with the old system. In personal life, individuals might continue unhealthy habits, like poor eating or lack of exercise, because it feels easier to maintain the status quo rather than make a change. Impact. The status quo bias can prevent growth and improvement by stifling innovation, discouraging necessary changes, and keeping us stuck in unproductive habits or situations. 6. Hindsight bias. Hindsight bias, also known as the knew-it-all-along effect, occurs when people perceive past events as being more predictable than they actually were. After an event has occurred, we often convince ourselves that we knew the outcome all along, even though we didn't. For instance, after a sports team loses a game, fans might claim they knew the team would lose based on specific factors, even though they had no way of predicting the outcome beforehand. This bias can lead to overconfidence in our ability to predict future events and can distort our ability to learn from mistakes. Impact. Hindsight bias can hinder our ability to objectively analyze past decisions, preventing us from learning and improving. It can also cause us to overlook important lessons in favor of reassuring ourselves that we knew it all along. 7. Bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect occurs when people adopt beliefs, behaviors, or opinions because others are doing so. It's a form of social conformity where we gravitate toward popular ideas or trends without critically evaluating them for ourselves. For example, if everyone around you starts using a particular brand of smartphone, you might feel compelled to purchase the same one, even if it's not the best fit for your needs. The bandwagon effect is prevalent in social media, where trends and opinions can spread rapidly without much scrutiny. Impact. The bandwagon effect can prevent independent thinking, encourage groupthink, and lead to the spread of misinformation or poor choices. Recognizing cognitive biases in yourself. Recognizing cognitive biases in yourself is the first step toward mitigating their influence on your thinking. Here are a few strategies to help identify and challenge biases. Awareness. The more you learn about cognitive biases, the more you'll start noticing them in your own thoughts and decisions. Start paying attention to patterns in your thinking, especially when you feel certain about something without having considered all the evidence. Slow down. Cognitive biases often flourish in fast-paced decision-making situations. Slow down and take the time to reflect on your thoughts, especially when making important decisions. Ask yourself if there's a bias influencing your judgment. Seek disconfirmation. Actively look for evidence that contradicts your beliefs. This can help you challenge confirmation bias and broaden your understanding of the issue. Ask for feedback. Sometimes, it's hard to recognize biases on our own. Asking others for feedback, especially those who have different perspectives or expertise, can help you see things from a more objective point of view. Practice critical thinking exercises, regularly engaging in exercises that challenge your thinking, such as debating with others, considering alternative viewpoints, or reflecting on past decisions, can help you improve your critical thinking and reduce the impact of biases. Conclusion. Cognitive biases are an inherent part of human thinking, but they don't have to control us. By becoming aware of these biases, we can begin to question our assumptions, challenge our automatic reactions, and make more objective, rational decisions. Mastering the art of critical thinking requires us to confront our biases and actively work to reduce their influence on our judgments. The next step is to learn how to break free from these biases and approach the world with a clearer, more open mind. Chapter 4. Challenging Assumptions, Breaking Through Mental Barriers. As human beings, we are hardwired to make assumptions. They help us make quick decisions, simplify complex situations, and navigate the world around us. At their best, assumptions can serve as mental shortcuts that make life easier. However, when these assumptions go unchecked, they can severely limit our understanding, prevent growth, and hinder critical thinking. In this chapter, we will explore the role of assumptions in shaping our perspectives, identify common assumptions that hold us back, and provide strategies for challenging those assumptions to unlock new ways of thinking. The role of assumptions in limiting your perspective. An assumption is something that we accept as true without question. It is an unstated belief or understanding that influences our thinking and actions. Assumptions are often unconscious and form the basis for how we interpret the world. For example, when you assume that someone is upset with you because they're not responding to your messages, you might act defensively, even though there could be other reasons for their silence, such as a busy schedule or technical difficulties. These assumptions, while convenient, can shape our behavior and perceptions in ways that aren't always accurate or productive. When we rely too heavily on assumptions, we can develop tunnel vision. This means we become fixed in our thinking, unable to see alternative viewpoints, and thus limit our ability to solve problems, make informed decisions, or grow as individuals. The danger of assumptions lies in their invisibility. They often go unchallenged because we don't realize we're making them. We take them for granted and carry them into every new situation, where they subtly influence how we react and interpret events. Why we make assumptions. Assumptions emerge for several reasons. Cognitive economy. Our brains are constantly processing vast amounts of information. To manage this, we rely on shortcuts and patterns from past experiences to save time and mental energy. This makes assumptions a natural byproduct of our cognitive processes. Cultural and societal norms. We are also influenced by the norms and values of the society in which we live. These cultural frameworks shape our beliefs about what is normal or acceptable, and they can lead to assumptions about others based on their background, appearance, or behavior. Personal experience. Past experiences significantly shape our assumptions. If we've encountered a certain situation before and it resulted in a specific outcome, we are likely to assume that future situations will follow the same pattern. This can lead to generalizations that don't account for the uniqueness of each situation. Emotional responses. Our emotions often color our assumptions. For instance, fear or anxiety might lead us to assume the worst about a situation or person, while overconfidence can lead us to assume we already know everything we need to know about a topic. While assumptions can streamline our decision-making process, they can also make us blind to new information, alternative perspectives, and more accurate ways of thinking. The power of questioning your assumptions. To grow and think critically, it is essential to question the assumptions that influence our lives. By challenging these assumptions, we can expand our thinking, become more open-minded, and make better decisions. Questioning assumptions is an active process. It requires a willingness to step back from automatic judgments and adopt a mindset of curiosity and humility. Here's how you can start challenging your assumptions. 1. Identify your assumptions. The first step in challenging assumptions is recognizing that you have them. This may sound easy, but it's not always straightforward. Often, assumptions are so ingrained in our thinking that we don't even notice them. To uncover your assumptions, pay attention to moments when you feel strongly about something or when you react quickly without thinking. Ask yourself questions such as, what am I assuming about this situation? Is there evidence to support this assumption? What might I be overlooking? Could there be another explanation for this? For example, if you assume that someone's silence means they are upset with you, take a moment to reflect. Is this assumption based on past experience, or is it just a knee-jerk reaction? What other possibilities could there be? 2. Embrace curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful tool in the process of challenging assumptions. Instead of accepting things at face value, ask questions that dig deeper into the situation. It's about exploring what you don't know rather than reinforcing what you already believe. For instance, when you encounter someone with a different opinion or background, instead of assuming that their perspective is wrong or inferior, ask questions to understand their viewpoint better. Why do they think that way? What led them to that conclusion? By being curious and open, you can break free from your own assumptions and see the world in a new light. 3. Seek out contradictory evidence. Assumptions thrive in environments where they are unchallenged. To test whether your assumptions are valid, actively seek out information that contradicts them. If you assume that a particular strategy will work, look for examples where it has failed. If you believe that people from a certain group act in a particular way, look for examples that defy your stereotype. This process, known as disconfirmation, involves seeking out facts or experiences that challenge your beliefs. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the most effective ways to refine your thinking and break free from limiting assumptions. For example, if you assume that a particular career path is too risky, find stories of individuals who have succeeded in that field. Conversely, if you assume that something is guaranteed to work, explore cases where it didn't. 4. Reframe your thinking. Reframing involves looking at a situation from a different angle. When you challenge your assumptions, it can help to reframe the issue to gain a new perspective. This helps you avoid being stuck in a narrow view and opens up new possibilities. For example, if you assume that your workplace is unorganized and chaotic, try reframing the situation by considering the external pressures or limitations the team might be facing. You might discover new insights that help you approach the situation differently. Reframing also helps you turn obstacles into opportunities. If you assume that failure is a sign of incompetence, reframing it as a learning experience can help you embrace failure as a tool for growth rather than something to be avoided at all costs. 5. Test your assumptions with experiments. Sometimes, the best way to challenge an assumption is by testing it in the real world. Experiments allow you to gather direct evidence and see whether your assumptions hold up under different conditions. For example, if you assume that a new project idea won't work because of past failures, why not test it on a smaller scale? Create a prototype, try a pilot version, or gather feedback from a small group before fully committing to the idea. This hands-on approach can help you move from abstract assumptions to concrete evidence. 6. Be open to change. Once you challenge an assumption, be open to the possibility of change. This requires humility, the willingness to admit that you might not have all the answers. Embrace the discomfort of uncertainty and be willing to let go of outdated beliefs in favor of new, more accurate ones. Remember, critical thinking is a lifelong process. It's not about finding a final answer to every question, but rather about remaining flexible and open to ongoing learning and growth. Real-world examples of challenging assumptions. To illustrate how challenging assumptions can lead to breakthroughs, let's look at some real-world examples. 1. The Wright brothers and flight. Before the Wright brothers, it was commonly assumed that human flight was impossible. Many believed that heavier-than-air machines could never stay aloft. However, the Wright brothers rejected this assumption. They questioned the prevailing wisdom and experimented with different designs, eventually developing the first successful powered airplane. Their breakthrough came from challenging the assumption that flight was unattainable. 2. Albert Einstein and the theory of relativity. For centuries, scientists had assumed that space and time were fixed and unchanging. However, Albert Einstein challenged these assumptions with his theory of relativity, which revolutionized our understanding of physics. By questioning basic assumptions about the nature of the universe, Einstein opened the door to new scientific paradigms and radically altered the course of modern physics. 3. The Civil Rights Movement. Assumptions about race and equality were deeply ingrained in societies around the world for centuries. However, individuals like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and others challenged these assumptions through peaceful protests, legal battles, and social movements. Their courage in questioning and defying deeply held societal beliefs helped spark a transformation that continues to influence the world today. Conclusion. Challenging assumptions is essential for developing critical thinking and achieving personal growth. Assumptions often act as invisible barriers that limit our potential and keep us from seeing the full range of possibilities. By becoming aware of our assumptions, questioning them, and testing their validity, we can break through these mental barriers and open up new opportunities for learning, growth, and innovation. The process is not always easy, but it is essential for developing the mindset of a lifelong learner and a critical thinker. Chapter 5. The Art of Reflective Thinking, a Powerful Tool for Growth. Reflection is a practice that allows us to examine our experiences, thoughts, and actions in order to learn and grow. It is the bridge between experience and learning, offering us an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves, our choices, and the world around us. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of reflective thinking, why it's crucial for personal growth, how to develop a regular reflective practice, and how it can be applied to improve various aspects of life. What is reflective thinking? Reflective thinking is the deliberate process of contemplating our experiences in order to gain deeper insights, increase self-awareness, and promote learning. It goes beyond just remembering or recounting events. It involves critically analyzing the thoughts, emotions, and motivations behind those events. Reflective thinking is about asking meaningful questions, looking at a situation from multiple angles, and considering how the experience can inform future decisions or actions. The goal of reflective thinking is not to simply dwell on the past, but to use it as a tool for self-improvement. It helps us develop a better understanding of our own behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes, which in turn leads to more thoughtful decision-making and personal growth. For instance, if you had a challenging conversation with a colleague that didn't go well, reflective thinking would involve reviewing the exchange and asking yourself, what was my role in the conversation? How did I react to their words or actions? What assumptions did I make during the interaction? What could I have done differently to improve the outcome? How can I apply what I've learned to future conversations? Why is reflective thinking crucial for improvement? Reflective thinking is powerful because it allows us to identify patterns in our behavior and thinking, which can either support or hinder our growth. It enables us to identify strengths and weaknesses. When we engage in reflective thinking, we become more aware of our strengths and areas where we can improve. By understanding what we did well and where we faltered, we can develop strategies for future success. It also helps us acknowledge and celebrate the progress we've made, which can be motivating. Enhance self-awareness. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence and critical thinking. Reflective thinking allows us to explore our thoughts, emotions, and reactions, making us more conscious of our internal states and how they influence our behavior. This heightened awareness is crucial for building better relationships, making better decisions, and responding to challenges more effectively. Learn from mistakes. We all make mistakes, but it's how we respond to them that matters. Reflective thinking encourages us to view mistakes as opportunities for growth. By analyzing what went wrong and why, we can prevent similar mistakes in the future and refine our approach to challenges. Foster continuous growth. Reflective thinking helps us view learning as an ongoing process. It encourages us to question assumptions, revisit old beliefs, and constantly strive for self-improvement. This growth mindset fosters resilience and adaptability, helping us navigate the complexities of life with greater ease. Improve problem-solving skills. Reflecting on past experiences and how we tackled problems allows us to hone our problem-solving abilities. By reviewing how we approach challenges, we can refine our strategies, become more creative in our solutions, and gain confidence in our decision-making. Develop emotional regulation. Reflective thinking not only involves cognitive analysis, but also emotional processing. By examining our emotions, we can better understand how they influence our reactions and decisions. This awareness allows us to regulate our emotions more effectively, preventing knee-jerk responses and promoting thoughtful, measured reactions. How to develop a regular reflective practice? Like any skill, reflective thinking requires practice. The more consistently we engage in reflective thinking, the easier it becomes to incorporate into our daily lives. Below are practical steps to develop a regular reflective practice. 1. Set aside time for reflection. Reflection requires space and time. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and skip moments of introspection. To cultivate reflective thinking, prioritize regular moments of stillness throughout your day or week. Set aside a specific time, whether it's in the morning, during lunch, or before bed, to reflect on the events of the day. This practice doesn't need to be lengthy. Even 5 to 10 minutes of reflection can lead to valuable insights. The key is consistency. Over time, these moments of reflection will become an integral part of your routine. 2. Create a reflection-friendly environment. Your environment plays a significant role in your ability to think clearly. Find a quiet, comfortable space where you can focus without distractions. Whether it's a corner in your home, a park bench, or a cozy cafe, choose a place that allows you to connect with your thoughts and feel at ease. Journaling is another excellent tool for reflection. Writing down your thoughts helps you process your experiences and articulate your emotions. You might find that the act of putting pen to paper enables you to clarify your thinking and gain deeper insights. 3. Ask thoughtful questions. The key to effective reflection is asking the right questions. Don't just ask, "What happened?" Ask, "Why did it happen, and what can I learn from it?" Here are some other useful questions for reflection. What went well in this situation, and why? What could I have done differently? How did I feel during this experience, and what caused those feelings? What patterns can I identify from this experience? What new perspective or insight did I gain? 4. Be honest and compassionate with yourself. Reflective thinking requires honesty. Be willing to confront your own mistakes, flaws, and areas for improvement. However, this honesty must be tempered with self-compassion. Reflecting on negative experiences should not be about self-criticism, but about understanding and growth. Treat yourself with kindness as you explore your thoughts and feelings. If you notice recurring negative thought patterns or behaviors, reflect on their origins. Understanding why you behave a certain way can help you break free from unhelpful patterns and make more conscious, intentional choices moving forward. 5. Turn reflection into action. Reflection is not just about thinking, it's about growing and improving. After reflecting on an experience, identify concrete steps you can take to apply what you've learned. For example, if you've reflected on a conversation that didn't go well, you might decide to practice active listening or remain calmer in similar situations in the future. Reflection also involves setting goals based on your insights. These goals should be specific, measurable, and actionable. As you implement these changes, continue to reflect on your progress and adjust your approach if necessary. Exercises to enhance self-awareness and promote personal growth. To help you develop reflective thinking and make it a regular part of your life, here are some exercises you can try. 1. Daily reflection journaling. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write in your journal about the key events, interactions, and experiences you had. Focus on what went well and what could have been improved. Reflect on your thoughts and emotions throughout the day and how they influenced your actions. For example, what is one thing I learned today? What was the most challenging moment, and how did I handle it? What are 3 things I'm grateful for today? 2. 30-day self-reflection challenge. For 1 month, commit to reflecting on a specific aspect of your life each day. This could be a personal goal, a habit you want to build, or a relationship you want to improve. Each day, reflect on your progress and adjust your actions accordingly. This exercise helps you stay focused on your growth while fostering a habit of daily reflection. 3. Weekly reflection check-in. Set aside time once a week to reflect on your overall progress. What went well this week? What challenges did you face? What adjustments do you need to make? This is a great way to evaluate your goals and ensure that you are on track. 4. Mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation helps you develop self-awareness and reflective thinking by teaching you to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Spend a few minutes each day practicing mindfulness. Sit quietly, focus on your breath, and observe any thoughts or feelings that arise. Over time, you'll become more adept at recognizing your thoughts and reflecting on their origins. 5. Seek feedback from others. Reflection doesn't always have to be an internal process. Seeking feedback from others can provide valuable insights and broaden your perspective. Ask trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors for their honest feedback on your behavior, decisions, and growth. This external reflection can complement your internal process and offer new angles on your experiences. Conclusion. Reflective thinking is a powerful tool for personal growth, decision-making, and emotional intelligence. It helps us move beyond surface-level experiences to uncover deeper insights that lead to more intentional and meaningful living. By committing to a regular practice of reflection, we can cultivate self-awareness, learn from our mistakes, and continue evolving as individuals. Chapter 6. Problem solving, applying critical thinking to real-world issues. Critical thinking is not only a theoretical exercise, it is a practical tool for solving the complex problems we encounter daily. Whether at work, in relationships, or in personal projects, the ability to think critically is key to breaking down problems, identifying effective solutions, and acting with clarity and purpose. In this chapter, we will explore how to apply critical thinking to problem solving, break down complex issues, and develop strategies for finding innovative solutions. We will also look at real-world case studies where critical thinking led to significant breakthroughs. The problem-solving process, a step-by-step approach. The first step in applying critical thinking to problem-solving is understanding that problems are often multifaceted, and the solutions require careful analysis and planning. Critical thinking involves approaching each problem methodically, examining different perspectives, and considering possible consequences. Below is a structured process for solving problems using critical thinking. Step 1. Define the problem clearly. The most fundamental step in solving any problem is defining what the problem is. Many times, we react to symptoms of a problem without addressing the root cause. Without a clear understanding of the problem, any solution will be incomplete or ineffective. Start by asking questions such as, what is the core issue here? Why is this problem a priority right now? Who or what is affected by this issue? A well-defined problem statement will help you stay focused and guide your problem-solving efforts. For example, rather than saying, the project is behind schedule, a more specific problem definition would be, the project is behind schedule because the timeline was not realistic and the team is overburdened with multiple tasks. By isolating the core issue, you can avoid wasting time on irrelevant details. Step 2. Gather information and analyze the situation. Once the problem is defined, the next step is to gather relevant information. Critical thinking requires thorough research and data collection to fully understand the context surrounding the problem. This may involve analyzing current situations, looking at historical data, and seeking input from multiple sources. Ask questions such as, what do we already know about the problem? What data or evidence is available to support our understanding? Who has relevant expertise or experience to offer insights? The goal here is to paint a complete picture. The more information you gather, the better equipped you will be to come up with viable solutions. In some cases, information gathering may reveal previously overlooked factors, such as hidden biases or assumptions, which can significantly change your approach to solving the problem. Step 3. Identify possible solutions. With a clear understanding of the problem, the next step is brainstorming potential solutions. At this stage, critical thinking encourages you to think creatively and explore multiple options without prematurely dismissing any ideas. Avoid jumping to conclusions or assuming that the first solution you come up with is the best one. Ask questions like, what are all the possible solutions to this problem? How can I think outside the box to find new ideas? Have others faced similar challenges? How did they solve them? When brainstorming, allow yourself and others to propose unconventional or bold ideas. Even if an idea seems far-fetched, it may spark innovative thinking that leads to a breakthrough. The goal is to generate a wide variety of possible solutions that you can evaluate later. Step 4. Evaluate and compare solutions. After generating a list of possible solutions, it's time to evaluate them critically. Critical thinking involves examining each potential solution from different angles and considering its feasibility, impact, and long-term consequences. Key questions for evaluation: what are the pros and cons of each solution? What are the potential risks and benefits? How does each solution align with my values, goals, and resources? How will the solution affect stakeholders or the broader system? At this point, you may need to narrow down your options to those that are most practical and likely to yield the best results. Consider the context and available resources carefully. Sometimes, the best solution is not the most complicated one, but the one that is most sustainable or realistic. Step 5. Implement the solution. After selecting the best solution, it's time to take action. This step requires careful planning and execution. Critical thinking ensures that you approach implementation thoughtfully, considering any potential obstacles and making adjustments as necessary. Questions to consider during implementation: what steps do I need to take to make this solution a reality? Who will be involved, and what roles will they play? How will I monitor progress and ensure that the solution is working? Good implementation requires follow-through. Set clear timelines and establish accountability measures to track progress. It's also important to keep an open mind and be willing to adapt the plan if unexpected challenges arise. Step 6. Reflect and learn from the process. Once the solution is implemented, the final step in the problem-solving process is reflection. Critical thinking does not end with the solution, it extends to evaluating the outcomes and learning from the experience. Was the problem truly solved? Did the solution have the intended effects? Reflect by asking, what worked well, and why? What didn't work, and how can we improve next time? How did the decision-making process impact the solution? Reflecting on the problem-solving process helps to identify areas for improvement in future problem-solving efforts. It also allows you to refine your critical thinking skills by learning from both successes and mistakes. Real-world case studies of critical thinking in action. Case Study 1: Apple's Product Innovation. In the world of business, Apple's approach to product development is an excellent example of critical thinking and problem-solving in action. When the company launched the iPhone in 2007, it was a solution to a problem that few people had explicitly identified: the need for a sleek, user-friendly device that combined a phone, a music player, and an internet browser into one. Rather than sticking to the conventional idea of a mobile phone, Apple's team, led by Steve Jobs, asked critical questions that challenged assumptions about how phones should work. They gathered data on user needs, observed patterns in existing technology, and came up with an innovative solution, creating a phone with a touchscreen interface that eliminated the need for physical buttons. By applying critical thinking throughout the development process, Apple didn't just create a product, they changed the entire mobile phone industry. This case shows the power of questioning assumptions, evaluating multiple solutions, and making bold decisions based on informed critical thinking. Case Study 2: The Apollo 13 Mission. Another example of critical thinking and problem-solving in action is the Apollo 13 mission, which faced a near-catastrophic failure in space. When an oxygen tank exploded, NASA engineers and astronauts were forced to think creatively and solve complex problems under extreme pressure. Using critical thinking, the team devised a plan to save the astronauts by carefully analyzing available resources, improvising solutions, and testing various strategies. They recognized that staying calm and focused under pressure was essential, and they worked together to identify the most feasible solution. The mission was a success, not because of luck, but because of methodical problem-solving and teamwork. Case Study 3: The Watergate Scandal. The Watergate scandal offers an example of problem-solving gone wrong, illustrating the dangers of neglecting critical thinking. In 1972, the Nixon administration's involvement in the break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters seemed to be a simple political issue. However, a lack of critical thinking by those involved, especially in failing to question their assumptions and actions, led to a massive cover-up that spiraled out of control. Had the individuals involved in Watergate engaged in more thoughtful reflection and honest evaluation of their decisions, the scandal might have been avoided. This case underscores the importance of ethical thinking, transparency, and accountability in problem-solving, especially in high-stakes situations. Conclusion. Critical thinking is not a one-time skill, it's an ongoing process that allows you to navigate the complex problems that arise in life and work. By using critical thinking to define problems clearly, gather information, evaluate options, and reflect on outcomes, you can make better decisions and find more innovative, sustainable solutions. The key to successful problem-solving is to approach each challenge with curiosity, an open mind, and a willingness to question assumptions. In doing so, you unlock your ability to solve problems creatively and effectively, leading to greater personal, professional, and societal progress. Chapter 7. Clearer Decision-Making: How Critical Thinking Leads to Better Choices. In our everyday lives, we are constantly faced with decisions, some small and routine, others large and life-altering. The ability to make sound, rational decisions is one of the most important skills for personal and professional success. However, decision-making is not always straightforward. Many factors, both conscious and unconscious, influence our choices. Emotional impulses, social pressures, and cognitive biases can cloud our judgment and lead to suboptimal outcomes. This is where critical thinking becomes invaluable. In this chapter, we will explore how critical thinking enhances decision-making, provide strategies to make better choices, and offer techniques to avoid the pitfalls of emotional decision-making. By learning to think clearly and critically, you can navigate complex situations with confidence, make informed decisions, and predict outcomes more accurately. The decision-making process: a framework for clarity. Effective decision-making requires structure, self-awareness, and a careful examination of options. Critical thinking serves as a guide through this process, ensuring that you assess the situation logically and without bias. Here's a step-by-step framework to follow for better decision-making. Step 1. Define the decision. The first step in making any decision is to clearly define the issue. Many times, we are faced with a decision but fail to articulate exactly what it is we need to decide. Without a clear problem definition, it becomes impossible to evaluate the options properly. Start by asking yourself, what decision am I trying to make? What is at stake if I make the wrong choice? Who will be impacted by this decision? By framing the decision in concrete terms, you give yourself a solid starting point. Defining the decision ensures that you understand the full scope of the problem and what factors you need to consider before making a choice. Step 2. Gather information. The next step is to gather all relevant information. Good decisions are informed decisions. Without the necessary data, you run the risk of making decisions based on assumptions or incomplete facts, which often lead to mistakes. Ask yourself, what information do I need to make this decision? Where can I find reliable data or advice to help me? Who are the experts or individuals with experience relevant to this decision? Researching and gathering diverse perspectives will help you form a comprehensive understanding of the situation. Critical thinkers know that information alone isn't enough. They seek to evaluate the credibility and relevance of the information they collect. Step 3. Identify your options. Once you have gathered the necessary information, the next step is to brainstorm potential options. Often, the first solution that comes to mind isn't the best one. Critical thinking encourages you to explore multiple alternatives and consider a variety of approaches to the problem. Ask yourself, what are all the possible solutions or choices available? Are there creative or unconventional options that I haven't considered? What are the potential risks and rewards of each option? At this point, it is crucial to avoid narrowing your focus too quickly. Keep an open mind and allow yourself the freedom to think outside of the box. This stage is about generating as many options as possible before committing to any particular choice. Step 4. Evaluate the options. Now that you've identified a range of possible solutions, the next step is to critically assess them. This involves evaluating the pros and cons of each option, understanding its potential consequences, and measuring it against your goals and values. Questions to ask include: what are the potential benefits of this option? What are the risks or downsides? How does this option align with my long-term goals or values? What are the possible unintended consequences? During this step, it is important to be mindful of any cognitive biases that may influence your judgment. For instance, the confirmation bias could lead you to favor options that align with your existing beliefs, while the availability heuristic might cause you to overestimate the likelihood of a certain outcome based on recent experiences. Critical thinking encourages you to examine each option from multiple perspectives to ensure an objective evaluation. Step 5. Make the decision. With all the relevant information in hand and the options evaluated, it's time to make the decision. Critical thinking helps you feel confident in your choice, knowing that it was made based on careful analysis rather than impulse. Consider the following: which option best addresses the problem and aligns with my objectives? How certain am I about my choice, and is further information or analysis needed? Am I making this decision for the right reasons? At this stage, trust the process and your ability to make a reasoned decision. It is important to recognize that some level of uncertainty is inevitable, especially when dealing with complex decisions. However, critical thinking provides the clarity and rationality necessary to move forward with confidence. Step 6. Implement the decision. After deciding, the next step is to put your choice into action. This stage often requires planning, coordination, and execution. A critical thinker ensures that the implementation of the decision is as thoughtful as the decision-making process itself. Key questions include: what steps do I need to take to implement my decision effectively? Who do I need to involve in the process? What resources will I need to make this decision work? It's essential to follow through with the decision and execute the plan while remaining flexible. Critical thinkers adjust their approach as necessary based on new information or changing circumstances. Step 7. Evaluate the outcome. Finally, once the decision has been implemented, it's time to reflect on the outcome. This step is essential for continuous improvement and learning from each decision you make. Ask: was the decision effective in addressing the problem? What worked well, and what could have been done differently? How can I apply the lessons learned to future decisions? By evaluating the results of your decision, you gain valuable insight into your decision-making process and can refine your approach for the future. Techniques for overcoming emotional decision-making pitfalls. While critical thinking provides a logical, structured approach to decision-making, it is essential to acknowledge the role emotions play in our choices. Emotional reactions, such as fear, excitement, or frustration, can cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. In order to make clear-headed choices, it is crucial to manage these emotional impulses. Below are some techniques for overcoming emotional decision-making pitfalls. 1. Take a step back. When emotions run high, it's important to create some distance between yourself and the decision at hand. This could mean taking a break, stepping away from the situation, or giving yourself time to cool off before making a decision. Emotional decisions are often hasty, so giving yourself the space to think logically is critical. 2. Consider the long-term consequences. Emotions often push us to act impulsively, focusing on short-term gains or immediate relief. To counteract this, take a moment to think about the long-term consequences of your decision. Ask yourself how this choice will affect your future or the future of those around you. This helps shift the focus from immediate emotional gratification to thoughtful, long-term planning. 3. Seek input from others. When emotions cloud your judgment, it's helpful to seek a second opinion. Talk to someone you trust who can offer a rational, objective perspective. Others may see things from a different angle and help you evaluate the situation more clearly. 4. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness techniques, such as deep breathing and meditation, can help you manage emotional impulses. These practices enable you to remain present and calm, which allows for clearer thinking. By reducing stress and emotional reactivity, mindfulness enhances your ability to make decisions based on reason rather than emotion. 5. Focus on the facts. To combat emotional thinking, focus on the facts and data rather than how you feel about the situation. Refer back to the information you gathered earlier in the decision-making process and use it as your guiding framework. This keeps the decision grounded in reality, reducing the influence of emotions. Case studies, critical thinking in decision-making. Case Study 1, the 2008 Financial Crisis. The 2008 financial crisis serves as a prime example of how emotional decision-making can lead to disastrous outcomes. Many financial institutions, driven by the desire for quick profits, made reckless decisions by ignoring the long-term risks of subprime mortgages. Their choices were influenced by greed and overconfidence, without adequate critical thinking to assess the potential impact on the economy. Had there been more careful analysis, more focus on long-term consequences, and a willingness to question assumptions, the crisis might have been avoided. This case underscores the importance of taking a measured, critical approach to decision-making, especially in high-stakes situations. Case Study 2, Personal Health Decisions. In the realm of personal health, emotional decision-making often leads people to make quick, short-term choices, such as opting for fad diets or skipping exercise routines due to feelings of laziness or stress. However, critical thinking in health decisions involves weighing the long-term benefits of healthy choices versus the short-term comfort of unhealthy habits. For example, someone might feel the urge to eat junk food after a stressful day, but using critical thinking, they can evaluate how this decision impacts their long-term health goals and emotional well-being. By focusing on the bigger picture, they can resist immediate emotional impulses and make better choices that align with their long-term values. Conclusion. Decision-making is a skill that improves with practice and self-awareness. By applying the principles of critical thinking, defining problems clearly, gathering information, evaluating options, and reflecting on outcomes, you can make better decisions in all areas of life. Moreover, by managing emotional impulses and using reason as a guide, you will avoid common decision-making pitfalls and achieve more consistent, thoughtful results. Critical thinking empowers you to make decisions with confidence, whether you are choosing a career path, managing finances, or simply deciding what to eat for dinner. With a clear and structured approach to decision-making, you can shape your future in a way that aligns with your values and goals. Chapter 8. Improving Relationships, the Role of Critical Thinking in Communication. Relationships are at the heart of human experience, whether they're personal, professional, or casual. Our connections with others influence our well-being, success, and happiness. In today's fast-paced world, effective communication is more important than ever. Yet, many interpersonal conflicts and misunderstandings arise from poor communication, often rooted in unconscious biases, misinterpretations, or assumptions. The ability to communicate clearly, empathetically, and with critical thinking is a powerful tool that can enhance our relationships and reduce conflicts. This chapter explores the role of critical thinking in communication, how thought patterns influence interactions with others, and how we can use critical thinking skills to resolve conflicts, improve empathy, and communicate effectively. By mastering these skills, you can foster deeper, more authentic relationships, whether with colleagues, family members, friends, or romantic partners. The role of thought patterns in communication. At the core of effective communication lies the recognition that our thoughts influence our words, actions, and interpretations of others. Each of us brings a set of assumptions, beliefs, and experiences to every interaction, which shapes how we perceive and respond to what others say or do. These thought patterns are often unconscious and can distort our perception of reality, leading to misunderstandings, miscommunications, and even conflict. For instance, if you have a deep-seated belief that people don't listen to you, this thought pattern might lead you to interpret neutral or even positive interactions with others as dismissive or disrespectful. You may become defensive or reactive, interpreting their words through the lens of your belief, rather than hearing them clearly. Critical thinking helps you recognize these thought patterns and challenge them. By actively reflecting on your thoughts before responding, you can avoid knee-jerk reactions and instead communicate thoughtfully and clearly. This helps ensure that your communication is aligned with your true intentions and reduces the chances of miscommunication. Understanding communication biases. Like all forms of thinking, communication is influenced by cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that often lead to irrational or inaccurate judgments. These biases can significantly impact the way we interpret what others say and the way we express ourselves. Some common communication biases include: 1. Confirmation bias. This is the tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms our existing beliefs or assumptions. When engaging in conversation, confirmation bias may lead you to focus on points that support your worldview, while dismissing or ignoring information that contradicts it. For example, if you believe that someone is always late, you might only notice their lateness and ignore instances when they are on time. 2. Attribution bias. Attribution bias occurs when we attribute others' actions to their character, while attributing our own actions to external circumstances. For example, if a colleague misses a meeting, you might think they're disorganized or careless. However, if you miss the meeting, you may rationalize it by thinking, I had too many urgent tasks, or the meeting was poorly scheduled. 3. The halo effect. The halo effect is the tendency to let one positive or negative trait influence our overall perception of a person. For example, if someone is very charismatic, you may assume that they are also highly competent, even if their work performance doesn't match up. 4. Overconfidence bias. When you are overconfident in your communication, you might believe that you understand someone's point of view without fully listening or considering their perspective. Overconfidence can make you dismiss the other person's input too quickly, which can lead to misunderstandings or missed opportunities for collaboration. Critical thinking helps you identify these biases in your interactions, allowing you to approach conversations with an open mind and a willingness to listen. By questioning your assumptions, acknowledging your biases, and striving for objectivity, you can improve the quality of your communication and avoid the pitfalls of biased thinking. Using critical thinking to resolve conflicts. Conflict is a natural part of relationships, but it doesn't have to escalate into something damaging. How you approach conflict and how you communicate during disagreements can determine the outcome. Critical thinking equips you with tools to resolve conflicts in a healthy and constructive way. 1. Approach conflict with curiosity, not defensiveness. One of the most common reactions to conflict is defensiveness. When we feel attacked or misunderstood, our natural instinct is to protect ourselves. This reaction can shut down communication, making it difficult to find common ground. Instead of becoming defensive, try to approach the conflict with curiosity. Ask questions to understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it. For example, if a colleague criticizes your project proposal, instead of immediately defending your work, you might ask, "Can you help me understand what specifically you think needs improvement?" This opens up a dialogue, showing that you are open to feedback and that you value their input. 2. Separate facts from emotions. During a disagreement, emotions can run high, making it difficult to stay objective. It's essential to differentiate between the facts of the situation and the emotional responses you may have to those facts. Critical thinking allows you to break down the situation and focus on the issue at hand rather than getting lost in emotions. For example, if a family member is upset with you for missing an event, focus on the facts of the situation. Perhaps you had a scheduling conflict or a personal emergency, rather than getting caught up in the emotional tone of the conversation. 3. Focus on solutions, not blame. Effective conflict resolution requires a shift from focusing on who is to blame to focusing on finding solutions. Critical thinkers approach conflict with a problem-solving mindset. Instead of blaming the other person for a disagreement, work together to identify practical solutions. Ask yourself, what can we do to resolve this, rather than, who is at fault? For instance, if you and a friend are arguing over plans that were misunderstood, you can shift the conversation toward finding a way to communicate better next time, instead of assigning blame to each other for the misunderstanding. 4. Practice active listening. Active listening is a crucial skill for resolving conflict. It involves fully concentrating on what the other person is saying, rather than thinking about how you will respond or what your next point will be. It requires you to be present and give your full attention to the conversation. To practice active listening, make eye contact and avoid distractions like checking your phone. Paraphrase what the other person is saying to confirm that you understand their point of view. For example, What I'm hearing is that you felt frustrated when I didn't follow up on our project. Did I get that right? Avoid interrupting. Let the other person express their thoughts fully before responding. Active listening builds empathy and trust, creating an environment where both parties feel heard and understood. Using critical thinking to improve empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. While it is often seen as an emotional skill, empathy is also rooted in critical thinking. To be truly empathetic, we must suspend our own judgments and assumptions long enough to consider someone else's perspective. 1. Challenge your assumptions about others. Empathy requires you to go beyond your assumptions and biases. People's behavior is often influenced by factors you may not be aware of, such as personal struggles, cultural background, or emotional state. Critical thinking allows you to question your assumptions and consider the broader context of the other person's actions or feelings. For example, if a colleague seems irritated during a meeting, instead of assuming they are upset with you personally, you could consider external factors, such as their workload or personal challenges, that might be affecting their mood. 2. Ask questions to understand, not judge. To deepen your empathy, ask open-ended questions to gain insight into the other person's experience. Avoid judgmental questions that assume a particular outcome. For instance, instead of asking, "Why are you so upset?" you might ask, "What's been bothering you?" This invites the other person to share their feelings and fosters a more empathetic response. 3. Put yourself in their shoes. Empathy is about seeing the world through another person's eyes. Critical thinking helps you step outside your own perspective and truly understand what the other person is going through. To practice this, ask yourself, what might this person be feeling right now? Or, how would I feel in their situation? By imagining their emotional experience, you can develop a deeper connection and respond with more compassion. Strategies for effective, respectful communication. Clear and respectful communication is essential for building trust and understanding in any relationship. Below are some strategies for communicating effectively using critical thinking. 1. Be clear and concise. When communicating, avoid ambiguity. Be clear about your thoughts, feelings, and intentions. Use language that is direct but respectful. This helps ensure that the other person understands your message without confusion. 2. Use I statements. I statements help express your feelings without sounding accusatory. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when I don't receive a response." This reduces defensiveness and keeps the conversation focused on your feelings rather than blaming the other person. 3. Acknowledge differences. People come from different backgrounds and experiences, and these differences shape how we communicate and interpret messages. Acknowledge these differences and be open to learning about other viewpoints. This openness fosters respect and mutual understanding. 4. Stay calm and composed. Emotions can easily escalate in a conversation, but staying calm is essential for effective communication. Take deep breaths, pause before responding, and maintain a level-headed approach, especially during disagreements. Conclusion. Critical thinking is a powerful tool for improving communication in all areas of life. By recognizing and challenging our biases, practicing active listening, and approaching conflict with a problem-solving mindset, we can foster healthier, more meaningful relationships. Clear and empathetic communication strengthens our connections with others, creating an environment of respect, understanding, and mutual growth. By continuously applying critical thinking to our interactions, we not only become better communicators, but also cultivate relationships that enrich our lives and support our personal and professional success. Chapter 9. Critical Thinking for Personal Development, Building a Purposeful Life. In the pursuit of a meaningful and successful life, we often find ourselves caught between the demands of others and the desires of our own heart. Many people live their lives on autopilot, reacting to circumstances without truly considering whether they are making intentional decisions aligned with their deepest values and long-term aspirations. This lack of deliberate thought often leads to feelings of frustration, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Critical thinking is the key to breaking free from this cycle of automatic living and stepping into a life of purpose and intentionality. When applied to personal development, critical thinking empowers us to make informed decisions, establish meaningful goals, and cultivate habits that promote lasting growth. In this chapter, we will explore how critical thinking can guide your journey toward personal development, helping you set and achieve your goals, build habits that serve you, and continuously improve yourself for the long term. Setting and achieving personal goals with critical thinking. Setting goals is essential for growth, but many people struggle to set goals that are truly meaningful or achievable. Often, goals are based on societal expectations, external pressures, or the desire to conform to norms. Without critical thinking, it's easy to fall into the trap of pursuing goals that are not truly aligned with who we are or what we want from life. Critical thinking enables you to approach goal setting with clarity and self-awareness. By applying critical thinking to this process, you can create goals that are well thought out, realistic, and most importantly, reflective of your own values and vision for the future. 1. Start with self-reflection. Before setting any goals, it's important to take stock of where you currently stand. Critical thinking begins with self-awareness, an honest and open examination of your strengths, weaknesses, desires, and aspirations. Spend time reflecting on questions such as, what do I value most in life? What areas of my life feel unfulfilled or lacking? What are my natural talents and abilities? What does success look like to me personally? This reflective process is crucial for ensuring that your goals are authentic and meaningful. Instead of being guided by external standards, you'll have a clearer understanding of what truly matters to you. 2. Set smart goals. Once you've reflected on what you want to achieve, it's time to translate your desires into concrete goals. Critical thinking helps you ensure that your goals are realistic and attainable. One of the most effective tools for this is the SMART goal framework, which helps you create goals that are specific. Your goal should be clear and well-defined. Instead of saying, I want to get better at my job, say, I want to improve my public speaking skills by attending a workshop and practicing weekly. Measurable. Establish how you will measure progress. A goal like lose weight can be vague, but lose 10 pounds in 3 months provides a clear target. Achievable. The goal should be within your capabilities, considering your current resources and constraints. For example, aiming to read 100 books in a month might not be feasible, but aiming to read 12 books in a year is realistic. Relevant. Ensure the goal is aligned with your values and long-term aspirations. Does it support the direction you want your life to take? Time-bound. Set a deadline or time frame for completion. This creates a sense of urgency and accountability, helping you stay focused and motivated. 3. Break down goals into actionable steps. Critical thinking also helps you break down larger goals into smaller, actionable steps. If your goal is to start a business, for example, you can break this down into smaller tasks like conducting market research, creating a business plan, registering your company, and launching marketing campaigns. Each step should be manageable and progressively build towards your larger goal. This approach prevents overwhelm and ensures that your progress is both steady and sustainable. 4. Continuously evaluate and adjust your goals. Once your goals are set, critical thinking doesn't stop. It's important to regularly evaluate your progress, assess whether your goals are still aligned with your values, and make adjustments as necessary. Sometimes life changes, or new opportunities arise, and goals that once felt right may no longer suit your needs. Be open to revising your goals based on new insights or circumstances. This adaptability is a key part of living a purpose-driven life. Building habits that foster growth. Achieving personal development goals requires more than just setting intentions. It requires the cultivation of habits that support and sustain your efforts. Habits are the foundation of consistent progress, and critical thinking plays a significant role in both establishing and maintaining them. 1. Identify the key habits that support your goals. Critical thinking involves discerning which habits will help you reach your goals. Not every habit will serve you equally, so it's important to identify which behaviors will have the most impact. If your goal is to improve your health, for example, cultivating habits like regular exercise, meal planning, and mindfulness will likely serve you better than sporadic, intense bursts of activity or indulgent eating habits. Start by asking yourself, What daily actions will help me move closer to my goals? Which habits will give me the greatest return on investment for my time and energy? 2. Use the power of small wins. One of the most powerful principles of habit building is the idea of starting small. Critical thinking allows you to recognize that success doesn't require massive changes all at once. Instead, focus on incremental improvements and celebrate small wins. These small victories create momentum and help reinforce positive behavior. For example, if you want to read more books, start by setting aside just 10 minutes a day for reading. As you build the habit, you can gradually increase the amount of time you dedicate to this activity. 3. Stay accountable and track progress. Accountability is key when building lasting habits. Critical thinking helps you devise strategies for tracking your progress and ensuring you stay on course. Consider using a habit tracker, journaling, or sharing your goals with a trusted friend or mentor to stay motivated. Regularly assess your habits to ensure they are still serving your goals. Ask yourself questions like, am I consistently following through on my habits? What challenges am I facing, and how can I overcome them? Are there any adjustments I need to make to better align my habits with my values? 4. Overcome habitual obstacles. Building habits isn't always easy, and you will encounter obstacles along the way. Critical thinking helps you anticipate these challenges and prepare strategies to overcome them. Whether it's dealing with procrastination, lack of motivation, or external distractions, identifying potential roadblocks ahead of time allows you to stay resilient. For example, if you know you often procrastinate on tasks related to a big project, you might develop a habit of breaking tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks or using a timer to limit your work sessions. The key is to recognize patterns and proactively find ways to overcome them. Continuous improvement, the growth mindset. A critical thinking approach to personal development doesn't just stop at achieving goals or building habits, it's about fostering a mindset of continuous improvement. This mindset, known as the growth mindset, emphasizes the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed with effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset approach challenges as opportunities to learn, rather than as threats to their self-worth. They embrace failure as a natural part of the learning process and continuously strive to improve their skills and knowledge. 1. Embrace learning and curiosity. A growth mindset encourages lifelong learning. Critical thinking nurtures curiosity, motivating you to seek out new experiences, perspectives, and knowledge. Instead of assuming that you already know everything you need to, actively seek out opportunities to expand your understanding. Reading books, attending workshops, engaging in thoughtful conversations, or exploring new hobbies are all ways to engage with the world around you and continue your personal growth journey. 2. Learn from failures. Failure is an inevitable part of life, but how you respond to failure is what truly matters. Critical thinkers use failure as feedback. Instead of becoming discouraged or defensive, they analyze what went wrong, identify areas for improvement, and adapt their approach moving forward. For example, if a business venture doesn't succeed as planned, a critical thinker will assess what elements of the plan were flawed, what assumptions were incorrect, and how they can pivot their approach for future success. This reflection and adaptation are key to ongoing development. 3. Cultivate resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. Critical thinking fosters resilience by enabling you to assess challenges from a rational perspective, separate emotions from facts, and find constructive ways to move forward. It's about viewing setbacks as temporary and solvable problems, rather than insurmountable obstacles. When facing difficulties, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I adjust my approach to overcome this challenge? What strengths can I draw on to stay persistent? Chapter 10. Overcoming obstacles, staying committed to critical thinking. Critical thinking is a powerful tool that can drastically improve our decision-making, relationships, and personal development. However, like any skill, it requires consistent practice and effort to maintain. The path to critical thinking mastery is rarely linear, and you will inevitably face obstacles that challenge your commitment to this essential practice. In this chapter, we will explore the challenges that can derail critical thinking and provide you with strategies to stay committed to the process. Whether it's dealing with distractions, overcoming self-doubt, or managing the overwhelming flow of information in today's world, the ability to stay focused on your growth journey requires awareness, resilience, and a mindset of continuous improvement. 1. The challenges of maintaining critical thinking in a world full of distractions. In the modern world, distractions are a constant presence. From the endless notifications on our smartphones to the demands of work, family, and social media, staying focused on meaningful tasks can feel like an impossible challenge. Critical thinking requires the ability to think deeply, assess multiple perspectives, and make decisions based on reason and logic, but distractions pull us in many directions, often preventing us from engaging fully with our thoughts. Strategies for minimizing distractions. Create a dedicated thinking space. To foster focused critical thinking, establish a dedicated environment where you can think without interruptions. This might be a quiet corner in your home, a specific spot at a coffee shop, or even a peaceful outdoor setting. Having a designated space helps train your mind to associate that location with focused thinking. Set boundaries with technology. Technology is a primary source of distraction, particularly smartphones. To minimize the impact of constant notifications and digital interruptions, consider using tools like Do Not Disturb mode or scheduling time blocks where you turn off your phone and other devices. Set specific times for checking emails or social media so that it doesn't interfere with periods of deep thinking. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness techniques, such as meditation or simple breathing exercises, can help you regain focus when distractions arise. By cultivating awareness of the present moment, you become less susceptible to external triggers that disrupt your flow of thought. Dealing with overstimulation. Another challenge is mental overstimulation. With the constant bombardment of information from news outlets, social media, and entertainment, it can be difficult to engage in critical thinking because our minds are fatigued from processing so much external input. Overstimulation leaves little room for reflection and thoughtful decision-making. To combat overstimulation, limit information intake, be selective about the information you consume. Follow sources that provide thoughtful, balanced perspectives and avoid media that focuses on sensationalism or negativity. Curate your environment, surround yourself with information and people that encourage growth and insight. Attend seminars, read books, or listen to podcasts that challenge your thinking and expand your worldview. 2. Overcoming self-doubt and imposter syndrome. As you engage in the practice of critical thinking, you may occasionally encounter feelings of self-doubt. These feelings can be amplified by imposter syndrome, where you believe that you're not qualified or capable of thinking critically or making informed decisions. This can lead to hesitation, indecision, or avoidance of challenges altogether. Building confidence in your critical thinking. Acknowledge your strengths, recognize the areas where you already excel. Perhaps you're naturally good at problem solving or have a strong analytical mindset. Take stock of these strengths and use them as a foundation to build your critical thinking capabilities. Reframe failure as growth. Understand that making mistakes is part of the learning process. Each time you misstep, it provides an opportunity for growth. Embrace challenges as stepping stones to mastery rather than obstacles to your progress. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes or face difficulties. Self-compassion helps reduce feelings of inadequacy and increases your resilience in the face of challenges. Seek mentorship or feedback. If you struggle with self-doubt, consider seeking feedback from a trusted mentor, colleague, or friend. Their perspective can help you gain clarity and reinforce your belief in your ability to think critically. 3. Navigating information overload. In today's digital age, information overload is one of the greatest challenges we face. We are constantly bombarded with data, opinions, and news, much of it conflicting or overwhelming. Sorting through this flood of information and determining what is accurate, relevant, and useful requires critical thinking. However, the sheer volume of information can make it difficult to discern what's worth paying attention to. Strategies for managing information overload. Develop a system for information consumption. Create a system that helps you filter and prioritize information. For example, dedicate specific times to consume content, such as reading news or research papers, and make sure that the sources you use are credible and trustworthy. Use tools like RSS feeds, newsletters, or curated content services to streamline your intake. Evaluate the credibility of sources. One of the core elements of critical thinking is discerning the credibility of the sources of information you encounter. Ask questions like, who is the author or creator of this content? What are their qualifications or biases? Is the information backed by evidence or research? Are there alternative perspectives that should be considered? Practice selective exposure. While it's important to stay informed, it's equally important to avoid information overload. Prioritize information that aligns with your personal goals or intellectual pursuits, and reduce exposure to content that doesn't add value to your critical thinking process. The role of technology in information overload. Technology can both contribute to and help alleviate information overload. On one hand, the internet provides an endless stream of information, but on the other hand, there are also tools designed to help you manage and organize information more effectively. Use technology to your advantage by employing apps that filter and organize news, research, and other resources according to your needs. 4. Managing resistance to critical thinking. Even when you recognize the value of critical thinking, you may still encounter internal resistance. Resistance can manifest as procrastination, mental fatigue, or a reluctance to engage deeply with challenging ideas. This is often due to the discomfort that arises when we question long-held beliefs or confront new, unfamiliar ideas. Overcoming internal resistance. Acknowledge resistance as part of growth. Understand that resistance to critical thinking is a natural part of the learning process. When we are forced to question our beliefs or consider new viewpoints, it can be uncomfortable. Rather than avoiding it, embrace the discomfort as a sign that you are pushing yourself toward growth. Break tasks into smaller steps. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the complexity of a situation or decision, break it down into smaller, manageable parts. By addressing one aspect at a time, you reduce the mental burden and make the process less daunting. Use visualization techniques. Visualizing the positive outcomes of using critical thinking can help motivate you to push through resistance. Imagine how making thoughtful decisions and embracing uncertainty can lead to growth and success. 5. Strategies for staying focused on your growth journey. The path to mastering critical thinking requires persistence and focus. Staying committed to this journey involves developing a mindset that values continuous growth and is equipped to handle setbacks along the way. The following strategies will help you remain focused on your goals and ensure that your commitment to critical thinking remains strong. Set clear, achievable milestones. Breaking your critical thinking goals into smaller milestones can provide a clear sense of progress and achievement. Whether it's improving your problem-solving skills, learning to evaluate sources more effectively, or practicing reflective thinking, having specific benchmarks will help you stay focused and motivated. Build a support network. Surround yourself with people who value critical thinking and encourage your growth. Engage in thoughtful conversations, share ideas, and seek feedback from others. A strong support network can help you stay motivated and push through challenges when they arise. Commit to lifelong learning. Critical thinking is not a skill that is perfected overnight. It requires ongoing practice and commitment. Embrace the idea of lifelong learning and remain open to new information, feedback, and experiences. The more you practice critical thinking, the more natural it will become, and the more profound the impact on your life will be. Conclusion. The journey toward mastering critical thinking is not without its obstacles. Distractions, self-doubt, information overload, and resistance can all impede progress. However, by recognizing these challenges and implementing the strategies outlined in this chapter, you can stay committed to the process of critical thinking. Critical thinking is a lifelong endeavor that requires continuous effort and practice. By remaining focused, developing resilience, and embracing a mindset of continuous improvement, you can ensure that critical thinking becomes an integral part of your personal and professional life. Chapter 11. The Future of Critical Thinking, Becoming a Lifelong Learner. In a world that is continuously evolving, where change happens at a rapid pace, the need for critical thinking has never been greater. The challenges of the future, whether they are related to technological advancements, societal shifts, global crises, or personal growth, demand that we not only think critically but also adapt and refine our thinking as we encounter new situations and information. Critical thinking, therefore, is not a one-time achievement, it is an ongoing process, a lifelong journey of growth and discovery. In this chapter, we will explore the evolving role of critical thinking in our lives, how to keep refining it as we move forward, and how adopting a mindset of lifelong learning can empower you to face an increasingly complex world with confidence and insight. 1. The evolving role of critical thinking in an increasingly complex world. Today, more than ever, the challenges we face are multifaceted and interconnected. The rise of technology, the globalization of markets, and the increasing complexity of social, political, and environmental issues all require individuals to think more deeply, analytically, and creatively than ever before. Critical thinking, once considered a skill for solving specific problems, now plays an integral role in navigating the complexities of modern life. Technology and critical thinking. Technology has radically transformed the way we communicate, work, and live. It offers us unprecedented access to information and global connectivity, but it also brings challenges like misinformation, data overload, and algorithmic bias. Navigating these challenges requires critical thinking to sift through the noise and identify what is accurate, useful, and relevant. Critical thinking helps us evaluate the impact of new technologies on society, our personal lives, and the environment. As automation, artificial intelligence, and other emerging technologies reshape industries and job markets, being able to critically assess how these developments affect us and our world will be essential. Critical thinking enables individuals to not only adapt to new tools and systems, but to also question and shape their implications. Globalization and cultural awareness. Globalization has made the world more interconnected, leading to greater opportunities for collaboration and innovation. However, it has also introduced challenges like cultural clashes, economic inequality, and environmental degradation. Critical thinking allows us to evaluate the consequences of global policies, engage with diverse perspectives, and make informed decisions in an increasingly globalized world. As businesses, governments, and individuals navigate international relationships, critical thinking becomes key to understanding complex issues such as trade policies, climate change, and human rights. Being open to new viewpoints and thinking critically about our own cultural biases can help us bridge gaps and foster cooperation in a world where different viewpoints often clash. Societal shifts and the need for social change. Critical thinking also plays a central role in addressing social issues. In the face of growing awareness around issues like racial inequality, gender rights, mental health, and social justice, individuals need to think critically about their roles in society, the systems in place, and how they can contribute to meaningful change. As social movements push for transformation in how we approach systemic issues, critical thinking allows us to challenge assumptions and norms. It encourages us to question our beliefs, engage in thoughtful dialogue, and seek solutions to complex problems, rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. 2. Keeping your thinking fresh, the continuous journey of refining your thought process. Critical thinking is not a static skill. As the world around us changes, our approach to thinking must also evolve. If you want to continue growing as a critical thinker, you must actively engage in refining your thought processes. This requires openness to new information, a willingness to reassess old beliefs, and a commitment to lifelong learning. Embracing change and adaptability. In order to stay relevant in the future, it's essential to embrace change with an open mind. Critical thinking is rooted in the ability to adapt, learn, and evolve. We must recognize that the world is fluid, and that new information, new technologies, and new challenges will continually shift our perspectives. A key aspect of refining your thinking is to regularly seek out new learning opportunities. Whether it's reading books, taking online courses, attending seminars, or engaging in discussions with people from diverse backgrounds, the more you expose yourself to different ideas, the sharper your thinking will become. The role of feedback in refining thought processes. Seeking feedback from others is another powerful tool in refining your critical thinking. Feedback helps you identify blind spots, challenge your assumptions, and gain new insights. Whether it comes from a mentor, a peer, or even a critic, constructive feedback is invaluable for growth. Being open to feedback requires humility. It means being willing to admit that you don't know everything and that your current thinking may need improvement. By embracing feedback with an open mind, you create opportunities to improve and refine your thinking, thus strengthening your critical thinking skills over time. Cultivating a growth mindset. One of the most important elements of refining your thinking is adopting a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that their abilities, including their capacity for critical thinking, can be developed through effort, learning, and perseverance. This mindset encourages resilience in the face of challenges and fosters the continuous development of new skills. By viewing challenges and mistakes as opportunities to grow, you will be more likely to engage in reflective thinking, learn from your experiences, and refine your ability to think critically. 3. The importance of lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is the key to staying adaptable and refining your critical thinking in an ever-changing world. As new challenges arise and new information becomes available, being a lifelong learner ensures that you continue to evolve your thinking and remain relevant in your personal and professional life. Learning from different disciplines. One of the most effective ways to develop critical thinking is to expose yourself to a wide range of disciplines. Whether it's science, philosophy, literature, history, or art, learning across disciplines broadens your perspective and gives you a richer base of knowledge to draw upon when faced with challenges. For example, the scientific method teaches you to approach problems logically and systematically, while philosophy encourages you to question assumptions and think critically about the nature of truth. Literature provides insights into human emotions and social dynamics, while history teaches you the patterns of human behavior and the consequences of decisions. Each discipline offers unique tools and perspectives that can help you refine your thinking. The power of curiosity and exploration. Curiosity is the driving force behind lifelong learning. The more curious you are about the world around you, the more likely you are to engage in critical thinking. Curiosity pushes you to ask deeper questions, explore new ideas, and seek answers to complex problems. To maintain your critical thinking edge, cultivate a sense of wonder and an eagerness to learn. This might mean traveling to new places, engaging with people from different cultures, or diving into subjects that challenge your assumptions and expand your knowledge. Developing new skills and knowledge. Lifelong learning also involves the continuous acquisition of new skills. As industries evolve, new technologies emerge, and new fields of study open up, it's essential to continuously develop new competencies. These new skills not only enhance your personal and professional life, but also enrich your critical thinking abilities. For example, learning a new language can improve your cognitive flexibility and ability to understand different cultural perspectives. Learning to code or understanding data analysis can help you think more logically and solve problems more efficiently. Acquiring new skills keeps your brain engaged and promotes the growth of new neural connections, all of which contribute to better critical thinking. 4. Encouraging a mindset of lifelong learning and self-improvement. To truly succeed in the future, we must adopt a mindset that sees learning as a never-ending process. Self-improvement should not be viewed as a task to complete, but as a lifelong journey that requires consistent effort and dedication. Setting long-term learning goals. One way to foster a mindset of lifelong learning is by setting long-term learning goals. These goals should not just be about acquiring new skills or information, but also about challenging yourself to think more critically. Whether you're aiming to solve a complex problem, improve your decision-making, or learn a new language, setting clear, achievable goals gives you a sense of direction and purpose in your learning journey. Becoming comfortable with ambiguity. Lifelong learning requires the ability to tolerate uncertainty and ambiguity. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to know. Embrace the idea that you don't have all the answers and that learning is a process of exploration. This mindset will help you navigate the complexities of life with more confidence, creativity, and insight. Building a learning community. Learning is often more effective when done in community. Seek out groups of like-minded individuals who are also committed to growth and learning. These communities can be a source of support, accountability, and inspiration, helping you stay engaged in your personal and intellectual development. Conclusion. The future demands that we refine our critical thinking skills and continue learning throughout our lives. As we face new challenges and opportunities, the ability to think critically, adapt, and engage with new ideas will be essential for success. By adopting a mindset of lifelong learning and committing to continual self-improvement, you empower yourself to thrive in an increasingly complex world. Critical thinking is not a destination but a journey, one that will continue to evolve as you encounter new experiences, information, and perspectives. As you move forward, remember that the practice of critical thinking is not just about making better decisions or solving problems. It is about becoming more insightful, more aware, and more capable of navigating the complexities of life with confidence and clarity. By embracing this journey, you will not only enhance your personal and professional success, but also contribute to the betterment of the world around you. The future of critical thinking is in your hands. Step into it with purpose, curiosity, and an unwavering commitment to growth. Chapter 12. Conclusion: Your empowered, insightful future starts now. As we reach the final chapter of Mastering Critical Thinking, Unlock Your Mind's Potential, it's time to reflect on the journey you've undertaken. Throughout this book, we have explored the profound impact that critical thinking can have on every facet of your life. From understanding your thought patterns and biases to improving your decision-making and relationships, the ability to think critically empowers you to make more informed, purposeful, and impactful choices. But this is not the end, it's only the beginning of an ongoing journey. Critical thinking is not a skill you master once and then leave behind. It is an evolving process that requires regular practice, self-reflection, and a commitment to growth. As you move forward, you will find that critical thinking becomes an integral part of your everyday life, shaping your personal, professional, and social interactions in meaningful ways. In this final chapter, we will revisit the key lessons from the book, reinforce the importance of implementing critical thinking in all areas of your life, and provide a call to action for you to begin living an empowered, insightful future right now. 1. Recap of key lessons. Each chapter of this book has provided tools and strategies for sharpening your critical thinking. Here's a quick recap of the key lessons. Introduction: Why critical thinking matters. We began by understanding the importance of critical thinking in a rapidly changing world. Critical thinking is not a luxury, it's a necessity for success in the modern age. Whether you're facing personal challenges or professional obstacles, your ability to think clearly, analyze situations, and make sound decisions will set you apart from others. Without critical thinking, you risk falling prey to misinformation, biases, and poor decision-making. Understanding thought patterns, the foundation of critical thinking. We examined how your thought patterns shape your reality. Your beliefs, thoughts, and actions are deeply interconnected. By recognizing and understanding your thought patterns, you gain insight into why you act the way you do. This self-awareness is the first step toward taking control of your thoughts and improving your overall mental processes. Cognitive biases, the hidden forces that shape your mind. We discussed cognitive biases, unconscious mental shortcuts that can distort our judgment and decision-making. By learning to recognize common biases such as confirmation bias and anchoring, you can actively work to overcome them, making your thinking more objective, balanced, and rational. Challenging assumptions, breaking through mental barriers. You learned the importance of questioning your assumptions. Our assumptions often limit our growth by shaping how we perceive the world. By challenging these assumptions and adopting a mindset of curiosity, you free yourself from self-imposed limitations, allowing new insights and breakthroughs to emerge. The art of reflective thinking, a powerful tool for growth. Reflective thinking was identified as a key tool for self-improvement. By regularly pausing to reflect on your experiences, thoughts, and actions, you enhance your self-awareness and encourage continuous personal development. Reflection empowers you to learn from mistakes and successes alike, driving both short-term progress and long-term growth. Problem solving, applying critical thinking to real-world issues. In the context of problem solving, critical thinking helps you break down complex problems into manageable parts, fostering creativity and innovation. We explored strategies for approaching problems with clarity, ensuring that you can find effective solutions even in the face of uncertainty. Clearer decision-making, how critical thinking leads to better choices. We delved into the decision-making process, emphasizing the need to evaluate options rationally and without the influence of emotional biases. Critical thinking helps you make more informed decisions, assess risks, and predict outcomes with greater confidence. Improving relationships, the role of critical thinking in communication. Critical thinking can significantly improve your communication skills. By understanding the role that thought patterns play in your interactions with others, you can resolve conflicts, listen more actively, and build stronger, more empathetic relationships. Critical thinking for personal development, building a purposeful life. Personal growth is driven by intentional, thoughtful decision-making. We explored how you can use critical thinking to set meaningful goals, evaluate your progress, and continually strive for self-improvement. A critical mindset provides the foundation for a purposeful life. Overcoming obstacles, staying committed to critical thinking. We identified the common obstacles that can hinder your commitment to critical thinking, including distractions, resistance, and self-doubt. Through practical strategies, we explored how to stay focused on your growth journey, even when faced with setbacks or overwhelming external pressures. The future of critical thinking, becoming a lifelong learner. As we look to the future, we emphasized the importance of lifelong learning. Critical thinking is an ongoing process, one that requires continuous self-reflection, curiosity, and adaptation to new information and challenges. A commitment to lifelong learning ensures that you continue to refine your thinking and stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. 2. The call to action, implement critical thinking in all areas of your life. As we conclude this book, it's essential to remember that critical thinking isn't something you apply only to isolated problems or intellectual exercises. It is a mindset, a way of approaching all aspects of life. To truly unlock your potential, you must integrate critical thinking into your daily routine, your relationships, your work, and your personal development. Here are several ways to begin implementing critical thinking in every area of your life. Daily practice. Make critical thinking a regular part of your life by setting aside time each day to reflect on your thoughts and actions. Ask yourself questions like, what assumptions am I making about this situation? How might my biases be affecting my judgment? What other perspectives might be important to consider? What evidence supports my conclusions? What alternatives should I explore? By practicing this type of self-reflection regularly, you'll strengthen your ability to think critically in real time. Setting goals with critical thinking. When setting personal or professional goals, apply the same critical thinking strategies you've learned throughout the book. Break down large goals into manageable steps, consider potential obstacles, and explore the best ways to approach each challenge. Always reevaluate your progress and adjust your plans as needed, based on thoughtful analysis and reflection. Building stronger relationships. In your relationships, critical thinking helps you understand others better, resolve conflicts, and communicate more effectively. Make a conscious effort to listen deeply, empathize, and challenge your assumptions about others. Approach conflicts with a willingness to consider all viewpoints and work toward mutually beneficial solutions. Adapting to change. As life evolves, so must your thinking. Practice embracing change rather than fearing it, using your critical thinking skills to adapt to new circumstances. Instead of resisting uncertainty, become comfortable with ambiguity and use it as an opportunity to grow. Promoting self-improvement. Continue cultivating habits of self-improvement. Whether it's by reading, taking courses, or engaging in meaningful conversations, commit to expanding your knowledge and refining your critical thinking abilities. By staying curious and open to new ideas, you empower yourself to continuously grow as an individual. 3. Living an empowered, insightful future. The ultimate goal of critical thinking is to lead a life that is intentional, purposeful, and empowered. As you integrate these practices into your life, you'll find that critical thinking helps you overcome obstacles, make better decisions, and achieve greater success. But beyond tangible results, critical thinking enables you to lead a more fulfilled life, one where you are actively shaping your future rather than passively responding to it. By embracing the power of your mind, you unlock a deeper level of insight and understanding that can transform your personal and professional life. You learn to make decisions with confidence, communicate effectively with others, and navigate the complexities of modern life with clarity and purpose. Critical thinking is not merely a set of tools, it is a mindset and a way of living. When you choose to make critical thinking a core part of your life, you take control of your destiny. You become the master of your mind, the creator of your future. 4. Final thoughts: living a more empowered and intentional life. As we conclude this book, I invite you to reflect on your journey so far. You have learned how to understand and challenge your thought patterns, overcome biases, solve problems creatively, and make more informed decisions. But now, the real work begins. The true power of critical thinking lies in its consistent application. It's about taking what you've learned and applying it every day, through challenges, successes, and even failures. The empowered, insightful future that lies ahead of you is within your grasp. By continuing to think critically, embracing growth, and staying committed to learning, you can unlock your mind's full potential. Every decision you make, every relationship you nurture, and every challenge you face can be approached with clarity and insight.